Mr. President.
Senator from Alabama.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank my colleague from Oklahoma, Senator Lankford, for putting this together today, showing that we are truly the party of life, the party of parents, the party of families. I'd also like to thank my colleague from Florida, Senator Rubio, and my colleague from North Dakota, Senator Kramer, for joining me in introducing the Moms Act. I also appreciate the 20 additional Republican colleagues who have co-sponsored this common sense legislation. The Moms Act is straightforward. It stands for more opportunities for moms to succeed. That's exactly what this bill would secure. As a mom, I know that there is no greater blessing in this world than that of being a mother. And I understand many of the challenges that women face during their pregnancy journey and while raising their kids. And that's why I was proud to introduce the Moms Act. The Moms Act would provide critical support for women during typical challenging phases of motherhood. It includes the prenatal, postpartum, and early childhood development stages. At the end of the day, this legislation would help mothers and their children thrive. Let's walk through the 3 sections of the bill. First, the Moms Act would establish pregnancy.gov. This new website would feature a wide range of resources available to expecting and postpartum moms, as well as moms and families with young children. Unfortunately, some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have put out flagrantly false, outlandish information about this part of the bill. These partisan smears have been debunked by several independent fact checks. But I also want to set the record straight right now. First, visiting this website is 100% voluntary. Next, no one would have to disclose personally identifiable information to use it or to access the list of its resources. There is no database of women created. There is no registry established, and there is no tracking involved. So why did Democrats make up these absurdly false claims? To be honest with you, I can't quite wrap my head around it. In my 18 months in this body, I probably have never been more disappointed. I understand that we come from things from different perspectives, but to create outlandishly false and absurd things about this bill was truly a bridge too far. But ultimately, they know they can't publicly oppose what's actually in the bill. Here are the types of resources pregnancy.gov would connect women and families to. And I'm going to quote some exact text of the bill. So, mentorship opportunities, including pregnancy and parenting help, health and well-being services, including women's medical services. This includes OBGYN services, primary care, dental care, and mental health services. Financial assistance, work opportunities, child care resources, foster care resources, adoption services, education opportunities for parents. I could go on. It also includes material or legal support. That material support includes transportation, food, nutrition, clothing, household goods, baby supplies, housing, shelters, maternity homes, help with tax preparation, and more. Also, legal support can cover child support, family leave, breastfeeding protections, and custody issues. I could keep listing examples of resources, but we would be here for a while. Next, I want to touch on the second part of the bill. So this part would actually create two separate grant programs. One grant program would help purchase necessary tools for prenatal and postnatal telehealth appointments, including medical equipment and technology for those in rural areas and other medically underserved areas. And the second program would establish a grant program for nonprofit entities to support, to encourage, and to assist women through their pregnancies, and to care for their babies after birth. The grant program would be funding many of the resources I just named, from mental health services, other medical care, child care, housing assistance, education and employment assistance, and nutritional assistance. And finally, the third part of the bill is Senator Kramer's Unborn Child Support Act. It would require states to apply child care support obligations to the time period during pregnancy if it was requested by the mother. This would be requested retroactively, and state-level requirements involving proof of paternity would still apply. The legislation is further evidence that you can absolutely be pro-life, pro-woman, and pro-family all at the same time. The Moms Act advances a comprehensive culture of life. It grows and strengthens families and ensures that moms have the opportunities and the resources needed so that they and their children can thrive and live their American dreams. It's a perfect example of why I believe that the Republican Party is the party of families. What you're going to hear after I make my motion to pass the Moms Act will be very telling about whether or not Democrats can say the same thing of their party. They're about to answer that question. Are they more interested in scaring women and families or helping women and families? Personally, I am proud to support women throughout the seasons of motherhood, and I am honored to lead this pro-life, pro-woman, pro-family legislation. Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions be discharged from further consideration of S. 4296 and the Senate proceed to its immediate consideration. Further, that the bill be considered read a third time and passed, and the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Is there objection?
Mr. President.
Senator from Minnesota.
Thank you, Mr. President. And reserving the right to object, and with respect to my colleague and friend, Senator Britt, Mr. President, this bill is another attempt to shift the narrative for Republicans away from the fact that they have blocked every attempt to pass bills that would actually protect women's reproductive health and freedom. And by overwhelming majorities, Americans support protecting access to contraception and IVF and assisted reproductive technologies and safe, legal abortion care. And Republicans know that they are out of step with the American people, and that is what we're seeing here today. Ever since President Trump's Supreme Court overturned Roe with the disastrous Dobbs decision, women's health care in this country has been thrown into chaos. And every day we hear more stories of the cruelty wrought by these Trump Republican abortion bans across the country. So the solution to this problem is simple and obvious. Congress should pass comprehensive protections for contraception, for IVF, and for reproductive freedom. But instead, Republicans have been blocking those bills and are putting forward bills like this one, which would create a federal government website, amongst other things, that functions basically as a crisis pregnancy center. And to be clear, healthcare providers that provide information about the full range of their options to women, including abortion care, would be blocked from this website. Now, with this website, it would allow women to put into the website their zip code, and they could then find a list of resources for adoption agencies and crisis pregnancy centers, which, Mr. President, I think we know can intentionally mislead and pressure and shame pregnant women into seeking abortion, against seeking abortion care, and sometimes even block them from accessing that care. And I want to be clear that this bill does not require anybody to put in their contact information, but it also does not include any restrictions on how the federal government could use or share that data that people input. So, Mr. President, I don't think Americans need another government website. What they need is for their government to respect their freedom and their dignity and their autonomy to make their own decisions about if and when and how to grow their families. And for this reason, Mr. President, I object.
Objection is heard.
Mr. President, I have a great deal of respect.
Senator from Alabama.
I have a great deal of respect from my colleague from Minnesota. However, I'm disappointed that Senate Democrats have blocked the Moms Act from passing today. It's a common sense bill that would help vulnerable women and help families. My Republican colleagues are going to continue to fight for tangible solutions like this bill that do just that. I yield the floor.